makers get on my radar for a variety of reasons. And Instagram will sometimes mysteriously decide that certain quilters should be in my feed. My next guest, Kathleen Riggins of Kathleen Quilts, was one of those suggestions as I watched photos of her progress over several months of her finishing the quilting of her Dear Jane quilt. And then Tula Pink showed off her latest amazing applique quilt. And it was quilted by Kathleen Riggins. Too much of a coincidence, and I had to invite her on the podcast. And luckily for me, she said yes. So grab your sewing and a cup of tea, and here's my interview with Kathleen Riggins. Welcome, Kathleen, to the show. Whereabouts in the world are you coming to us from?
I'm in Alberta, Canada.
Okay, whereabouts in Alberta?
I'm in Camrose, so we're about like an hour's drive from Edmonton. We're a little bit south and east from Edmonton.
Okay. Have you been there all your life?
Pretty much, yeah. I technically I lived in Saskatchewan until I was 8 months old, but then moved to Camrose before I can remember, obviously. And then I lived in Edmonton for 5 years for university, and I worked after that. And then I was in England for a year, and then I've been here ever since.
Oh, lots of homes. Were there any crafters or quilters in your family?
Yes, I am the seventh generation of quilter that we can
Wow.
like officially trace and have quilts from.
Wow.
Maybe sixth or seventh, something ridiculous like that. Anyways, yes.
As a young woman or child, were you quilting alongside your grandmothers and your aunts and that?
My mom, for sure. Like I would say that I sewed so much as a kid. Santa gave me a bib for my doll and it had decorative stitches on it. And I was very excited because Santa clearly had the same sewing machine that my mom did because he had all the same decorative stitches she did. And so I was very excited about like, my mom has the same sewing machine as Santa Claus.
Oh, that's funny.
I really enjoyed that story. My mom's like, I was sure that was going to be the end of Santa Claus for you, but nope, you're just super psyched that, mom and Santa Claus had the same sewing machine.
So when did you start making quilts?
So technically, when I was in grade 2, so I was like 7 or 8, the like Alex Anderson show, my mom used to watch that all the time, and I was watching the show with her, and there was this, I can't remember her name, but she made this quilt, and I was like, I can make that quilt. Mom was like, okay then. And so I made that quilt, and that was my first quilt. So grade 2, but I'd say that like quilting about grade 9 is when, so I'd been like 14 when that was like, okay, this is what I do now. Oh wow, I started young because my parents opened the quilt store when I was in grade 6. So I was 11. My mom taught sewing in our basement before that and for another store in town before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you come to long arming?
So I started free motion quilting about grade 9, grade 10. My mom says that I phoned her one day at work and was like, Mom, how do you free motion quilt? And she said, well, you drop the feed dogs and pretend it's a pencil. And that was the amount of my instruction in free motion quilting. And I just went to it. Because when you're in grade 9, you don't know that it's hard, right? Like you just go for it. And every single quilt I quilted like through high school was basically like a zigzag and a star or some combination of zigzags and stars. And then I started long arming when I moved back to Camrose and we took over the sewing machine dealership that had been in Camrose is why I moved back. And so as part of that, we had like a mid-arm sort of machine and I needed to learn how to use it so I could show the people how to use it. And so I started using it at work all the time. And then I got one of those for my house and then I outgrew that one and APQS sponsored me for a year with one and then I bought my APQS after that.
Okay, I've got an APQS. I've got the Millie.
Yeah, I have a Lucy.
A Lucy. I was attracted to the channel locks in the handles.
Yeah, those are nice.
That was the thing that got me. And
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that I cannot fit anything bigger than a 10-foot
Okay.
in my space here.
I have 12 feet at home. Then we've got 14 feet at work here.
Do you sell the long arms at the store too?
No, we don't.
No.
We do like computerized edge to edge at the store. And then I do custom at home.
I was so excited when I found out that you were part of I think there's 3 authors on this, for Ice Bubbles. That was one of my favorite quilts
right?
ever.
It's such a good quilt. I know.
And I was so shocked it didn't get into QuiltCon, but
I know,
did you
twice
display
it
it other
didn't.
places?
I think it went to MQS. I think that was still a show at the time. And it went to an AQS show.
It just has
it
that whole
was so much
optical
fun. It was
illusion.
just, yes. So Ice Bubbles, I did with Kat Jones and Jess Frost, who are both in Australia. I met them at QuiltCon, and then I sort of got to know them better when I was teaching in Australia. And then we decided we should make a quilt together. So we actually made two together. Ice Bubbles was the first one, and then we did Flight Path after that as well.
So with them in Australia,
They made the top and I did the long arm. Yeah.
who designed the quilt?
Kat did most of the designing for it.
Such a special one.
Yes.
Now, you first got on my radar with that quilt, but then you quilted one of Tula Pink's quilts. I think it was the tattoo one by Happy So Lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you get on Tula's radar?
Well, so that was the third quilt I had done for her. I did a few before that, but I don't know. She just sent me a message one day and was like, "Hey, will you quilt for me?" And I was like, "Me? Are you like really?" And so yeah, that's what happened. I was like, "Yes, of course. Like, yeah, obviously I will." So yeah, I honestly don't know. I assume like Instagram, she saw some stuff I've been posting and sent me a message. Yeah. So it's been really cool. It's really fun.
So did you treat her like you treat all your customers, or was that?
Yeah. I don't think so. She makes like really nice quilts, so it's really easy to quilt them really nicely, but I wouldn't say that I put more effort or more anything into the quilting, and I don't give her a discount or anything like that. She pays the same as everybody else. The top two quilts I've done the most thread color changes in are both hers, but I think it's because she just uses a lot of fabrics, so and then it's you need more thread colors.
Did she supply you with her Aurifil threads to do that?
No, no, I
No.
do all my own threads for them.
You're really close to Wonderfil. Do you use theirs?
Not a whole bunch. No, I use lots of their hand sewing threads, but I haven't used many of their long arm threads.
I think we were all in COVID at that time, in lockdown. So what did that do to your Instagram and your email inbox?
Okay, so here's the long story about that quilt because it's a bit of a that like I said, that was the third quilt I'd done for her. She sent it to me. It was during COVID. I found out while I was quilting it that I was pregnant with my second child, and I puked every single day I was pregnant with that child, right? Like it was kind of miserable. And I quilted that quilt. I sent it back to her. She showed it. I could have sent my kids both to college just quilting other people's tattoo quilts, but my brain was just like done. And I didn't answer a single email from a person who said, I just ghosted my entire like long arm business because my brain just couldn't. I was feeling crappy. I just couldn't. Yeah, ghosted. I probably got maybe 15 emails, 20 people asking me to quilt their tattoo quilts, but I didn't answer any of their emails because I am a professional.
But I understand when you're
Yeah.
in that. Well, you have a busy life. Not only are you a quilter and a pattern designer and a long armor, there's a store here.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
this the same store as your parents, or?
Yes, yes, it's the same store as my parents. Yes. So yeah, so I work full time here. I have two kids. Like I like sewing my own things sometimes. Especially now, like when I first started long arming, I worked all day and then I could go home and long arm all night and that was fine. But now it's like now I like a little bit of work-life balance would be nice, Like I go home and hang out with my kids and I like to like have a little time to myself after they go to bed. So I still long arm I feel like I ghosted everyone. Then everyone's like, well, I guess she doesn't do this anymore. And so I stopped getting asked to do it. So I have been doing a lot less, but I still do some when I'm asked. But I charge a lot of money because if I'm going to take, that much on in my life, like I need to get paid for it. So
I think that's an important point. I can remember designing a person wanted me to make a quilt for them. Actually, they wanted me to make three. And I can remember costing at them and being really worried about the number. Like, oh my
yeah,
God, she's never going to pay this price. And
yeah,
then I realized I don't need to make it.
yeah,
If she's not willing to pay my price,
yeah.
I don't have to make this quilt.
That's sort of. I
And
always joke that I can tell when someone sends me an email, if they ask me in the email what the price of the quilting is, I know that I'm going to tell them and I'm never going to hear back from them. You know what I mean? Not in like a rude, like, like I couldn't afford to have me quilt for me. I'm not like offended when people don't want to pay the price. But also, like, I know that if one of the questions they ask in the email is how much will it cost to get my quilt quilted, I know that I'm not going to be the quilter for them, right? Like, I charge what I charge and I have another job. I don't,
yes,
it's nice to quilt. It's nice to get paid for the quilting, but I'm not going to starve if I don't.
but then Tula has found you and asked you to quilt another quilt.
Yes, I quilted two for her this fall, only one of which she's shown so far this winter. But yeah, okay, so she sent me this email being like, hey, are you still quilting? And I was like, well, for you, obviously. I think what I said was, I'm happy to quilt for people who make nice quilts and who don't cause a fuss when they get my bill. And she was like, yeah, obviously. And then she's like, will you quilt my Roseville album? I was like, wait, what? But your Roseville elf, like, are you sure you want me to quilt? Am I sure I want to quilt that one? Like, what if I ruin it? But then I did have to like, okay, calm down, Kathleen. Like, you're not going to ruin this quilt. She asked you for a reason. And like, if you say no, then you're going to have to watch someone else quilt this quilt. But that could have been me. So I said yes.
Well, you did an absolutely beautiful job. And I liked the fact that on Instagram, you told a little bit more of the story and that you experimented by drawing out some ideas before you
Yeah.
actually started
Yeah.
quilting.
Yeah. That's a pretty normal plan for me.
Yeah, we all just think that you
Don't do different.
brilliant long armors, it just comes out of your head and
Yeah.
straight lines are everywhere. But I love so many of those features that you put in there.
Thanks. Yeah. I think it turned out really good. So
Yeah. But I want to talk about one other quilt. You
yeah,
just finished your Dear Jane quilt.
I did just finish my Dear Jane quilt.
And
Yes.
I have been following you making that. It is so stunning. All those multicolors. And I love the effects in the quilting that you put in.
Like I looked at lots of people's quilt, like Dear Jane's, because like a lot of people have made Dear Jane before, and I was like, well, how can I quilt mine that's like a little bit different from what everyone else has done? Because when people do like a dense, there's not tons of space in a Dear Jane, right? There's so
Mm.
much prints going on. There's not like that much space to have fun. But I was like, well, if I have the like sort of trip around the world colorway going, I tried to get the quilting to sort of change designs following that trip around the world. So it's not just one background fill across the back. Yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out too.
How long did it take you to quilt that? That seemed like it
Oh,
took months.
really long because I hardly worked on it all because I just couldn't. It just felt like work. You know, sometimes things are fun. Quilting that quilt, I don't know, it just felt like work and it was hard to make myself go do it. And it was also like I think I loaded it in about like April or May last year. And then it was summertime and I was like, I want to be outside playing with my kids and going camping. Like I just wasn't doing a lot of quilting. And then in the fall, I sort of hunkered back down and got it done.
Do you find you're able to just return to a quilt top and do a couple of blocks and walk away? Or are you wanting to do a good
For sure, with
hunk?
the long arming, I find that I can do like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, way more than if I'm piecing or something like that. I actually find I was like, as I was doing a few this winter, I was like, oh, it's sort of nice to have something I can just do for 5 minutes. Like, oh, the kids are playing Lego, I can, do a little bit. And if I get interrupted 3 minutes later, it's not like, oh, now it's a whole thing, right? So it's really, no, I can definitely do just little bits here and there with the long arming really easily.
Can you tell me a little bit about the quilt behind you? That's stunning.
Okay, so this is a quilt. So my mom has a quilt that was made by I think it's three times great grandmother that I just really loved the quilt. And so then I took the like block that was in the quilt and designed a bunch of quilts, four quilts based on that block. And this is one of them. And it's
Uh,
the Floral Star Remix is what the name of the quilt.
So did your grandmother's quilt have those black bars in
No,
it?
those I added in.
Those
No.
are new.
Yeah, those are new.
That is an
Yeah.
absolutely stunning quilt. Is it paper pieced or is it
No, it was template. There's some templates, but no, it's not paper pleased.
that's just amazing. You've designed a number of quilts. My personal favorite is Sprinkles and Stitches.
Yes, that one's really cute. Yeah, the dessert one. I can tell you, I have sold zero copies of that pattern. So it
Really?
might be
Because
the
I
only one
practically
whose favorite.
downloaded it today.
No, I have sold zero copies of that pattern.
That is so
So,
cute. I
um,
like the alternate, like it's wool.
yeah,
And so much of wool is flowers. And I mean, Sue Spargo does
yeah,
some amazing
yeah,
things, but
yeah,
it's always so much about flowers. And I'm not so much of a
yeah,
flower person, but I really like the whimsy and
yeah. I
stitch
like it too.
in sparkles. I'm sorry,
I like it
sprinkles.
too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you'll have one copy sold. So when did you get into wool quilts?
So once I like ghosted my long arm business and then I couldn't get off my couch because I was pregnant and miserable and puking all the time, I was like, well, I guess I will start doing some wool. I had done a little bit, like my mom had done it for a few years before that, and I had done a little bit, but that's sort of when I really got into it, when I was sort of stuck on my couch and that's all I did for like 9 months, 10, a year, something like that.
Do you stock all that wool stuff at the
We
store?
do, yeah.
I love that wool stuff. I
Me
can't
too.
tell you how big a box I have of it, and I have yet to start a quilt.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Yeah, if you had told me like a few years ago how much handwork I was going to be doing now, I'd be like, yeah, really? Okay. Like my website bio used to read, Kathleen will do anything to avoid sewing something by hand. And I'm like, that's clearly not the case anymore.
Is that just because you have more time when you're sitting
I
with
think
your
so.
children?
I think that's a big part. And also just like not being 15 and having a little more patience with life and yeah, the combination of like needing something for when I have like 3 minutes and this portable that I can take with me to the kid stuff and also just being a little older and having more patience.
So are you actively teaching classes at the store?
Yes, yeah, I teach here almost every Saturday and sometimes during the week.
I love the one, the adult and the child quilting class.
Yes, that one's been really popular. It's been really fun. Yeah, bring an adult. Yeah.
So what age of children are you getting?
Most of the ones we had the last time we run it were like grade one, two, three. We didn't have a whole bunch of older kids in that one. I know this next one we've got at least one like grade six. It's only the second time we've run it, but they tend to be on the younger side.
So what's it like working in a multi-generational family business in the quilting world? Are you taking over more and more from your
I've
parents?
been taking over more and more. Yeah, my mom retired about a year and a half ago, but my dad's still here all the time, and I take over more and more. I don't know if dad would say that, but I like to say that. Uh, and then my husband works here too. He does all our sewing machine repairs, and then my kids are here lots of too since we're all here. So it's a bit wild sometimes, but mostly it works.
Sewing machine repair is really important for all sewists to have a
Yeah.
technician nearby. Did your husband just pick it up when he joined
No,
the family?
he married into a job, basically, is what we like to say.
So did he go off on
Yeah.
a training course and come back, or did he
So
do it the
the
fast way?
person who did it before trained him for quite a while, and then he also did a few like weekend and week-long courses in a few different places.
My husband and I ran a appliance repair business for
Oh,
many, many years.
yeah.
I was thinking, well, I should take that technical course. I also met a woman in the UK who left her job and became a sewing machine technician. She comes on my cruise ships with me. Yeah, I've just thought, I mean, you can't be without your sewing machine repair person
Yeah.
nearby.
Yeah. Yeah. It's handy having him like living in my house because then when something goes wrong at 10 o'clock at night, like Rocky!
How many sewing machines do you own at home?
At home, I have two sewing machines, a serger, and my long arm. Nothing too crazy.
And do you get much time to sew, balancing a family, a job, and long arming?
It depends a little bit. I've had a little bit more lately because this year my kids start school at 8 o'clock, but I don't have to leave for work until about quarter after nine. So I've got like an hour in the morning, 4 days a week, which has been like magic. I've gotten way more done this year than I had before that. And then I'll often sew for maybe like an hour after they go to bed. And that's about what I get. Their schedules change next year for school, so I won't get quite as much time in the morning anymore, but it was nice while it lasted.
You could change your working hours.
Yeah.
How often do you have to say no?
Once in a while, but not super, it's not super often that usually my price scares people away before I have to say no. There's only been maybe once or twice when I've actually said no to somebody wanting me to quilt for them. And that was because they wanted a lot more control over. I always say like if you want me to quilt for you, you get what you get. Like we don't like I don't discuss the design, it's a surprise. And every once in a while someone is not okay with that. I'm like, well then this is not going to work.
So how did you
You're gonna have
come to that position? Did you start with a couple of people that were very specific about what they wanted and that didn't work out?
No, I just knew that if I was going to actually want to quilt someone's quilt, I wasn't going to want to quilt. I was going to want to quilt what I wanted to quilt. So that was how it was from the beginning, basically, was like if I'm going to quilt this, I want to quilt it how I want to quilt it. I knew that if I was trying to quilt on someone else's vision or whatever, that wasn't going to be fun for me. And I had enough going on. I only wanted to do fun stuff.
Yeah, I've that's one of the big rules I'm beginning to follow in my quilting practice. If it's not a hell yes,
Yeah.
it should be passed on.
Yeah.
You should be working on products that really make you feel good and happy because you only have a limited amount of spare time and only work on the stuff that feeds you.
Exactly.
Yeah. You learned it earlier than I did. Now you have had some interesting oops
Oh
in the
my.
quilting world. Let's start with the one where somehow an iron fell on your bare leg.
Oh, it didn't fall on my leg. I was just standing too close to the ironing board and ironed my, I got too, my leg was here and I just ironed into the side of my leg. Which is why you shouldn't iron wearing shorts at like 11:30 at night. No, I just ironed my leg. Yeah, that was a good one.
I like the one where you say you sliced your elbow but didn't notice. How much
Oh,
blood?
that was when I was like yeah, so I was like a teenager. I had, yeah, sliced my elbow, didn't notice, covered my mom's sewing room with blood, didn't really notice. My mom comes home and is like, who died in here? And then she's like, you're not allowed to sew when I'm not home anymore. And that was clearly not going to work for me. And so I think that rule lasted like 3 hours because obviously I was going to sew when she wasn't home. But yeah, no, I didn't even notice. And yet, like her sewing room looked like someone had been murdered in there. And I was oblivious and just didn't even notice.
I hate to think, did blood get on any white fabric?
Not that I recall. Like it's been a little while, but I don't recall anything being ruined. Just like clean up after yourself, Kathleen.
And of course, the unfortunate sewed through your finger.
I've sewed through my fingers. I've gotten a needle in the forehead. Yeah, I was doing like drizzle stitches. You have to like keep your needle up in a like it sticks up like this, and then someone made me laugh, and I kind of went like this and jabbed the needle right into my forehead. That was that was a really good one. I once, this isn't really an injury, but just a don't do this at home, is that I once accidentally marked on a customer's quilt with a Sharpie instead of a marking pen,
Oh,
which
oh
is
my God.
why you shouldn't keep Sharpies in your long arm room when you have a 6-month-old baby.
How did you get it out?
Synthropol. I
Okay.
got it out. Like it came out. There was a little dark spot on the backing, but I got everything out of the quilt top. And I never told her and she never noticed.
Oh, good. Good.
But that was like the biggest moment of panic I've ever had doing
Oh my
customer
God.
quilts. Like, oh my God, what have I just done? So I don't keep Sharpies in my long arm room anymore.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah, it's a good
advice.
call.
Good,
Yeah, good
good
advice.
advice.
Learned from my mistakes.
And of course, I'm sure you've stepped on a number of pins and things
Oh,
like
so
that.
many pins. And there's carpet in my sewing room, so there's always a million pins in it. And yeah, I step on a lot of pins.
So on your quilting journey, I know you probably could have designed quilts for yourself, but when did you start designing quilt patterns for digital download and to sell to the public?
Well, technically, I wrote a pattern for a school project in grade 11. I wrote the pattern and that's all that ever came of it. I think I wrote the first pattern that like someone actually bought would have been about 2014, 15, somewhere in there, I think. After we'd come back to Camrose, I was working in the quilt store and other people can do this. I could do this too.
So you have that quilting with kids class. Have you passed on your love of quilting to your two boys?
Oh, yeah. Both of my kids always want to sew. Yes, they both love sewing. They both always want to go downstairs and sew with me, or often want to go downstairs and sew with me. It's really fun. Yeah, I really like it. We just like slow down the sewing machine. I'm glad I have like the fancy sewing machine with the speed control, so we can slow it down for them. And they like doing decorative stitches on all their fabrics, and then like so they've both been working on their own little quilts. That
Do they
sometimes I
like
can follow what their plan is, and sometimes I can't.
do they like playing with your fabric as well?
A little bit, but I wouldn't say that's like the main. It's the fancy stitches that they really like.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, do you put a label on your quilts?
Some of the like really, like the really good ones. And like, but mostly I don't. I should. It's one of those things where I know I should be putting more labels on quilts, but I just too often I don't. I have gotten some like folded labels that just go in the binding that at least say like made by Kathleen Riggins on them. And so most of my quilts now, but I don't have a ton with proper labels.
It's never too late to go back and put one on.
Well, it is. It's not going to happen. I know. I know.
That's what you should train your children to do.
It's what I should train it's what my mom tried to train me to do, but it didn't stick. By the time just sometimes I'm just like, no, I'm done.
Well, that's my problem too. When I put the binding on it, I'm like out the
Yeah.
door, out the door.
Yeah.
That's why I make the label after I make the top. I make it from the scraps.
I just like my labels are usually just like the like inkjet computer 3D print. So it's not
Yeah.
like they're hard. It's just, an extra step that I don't know. I just don't always do. I don't have any good reason besides I just don't.
So you mentioned you were in Australia teaching. Have you done a lot of traveling for quilting?
Quite a bit. Not as much recently, but I have gotten to go lots of really cool places. It's been really a like unexpected little bonus in my life to get to go teach lots of really cool places. Yeah.
So tell me about the trip to Australia.
I went to Australia I taught not three separate trips to Australia. Mostly I teach at the Australia Machine Quilters Festival. So my friend had lived in Australia and was like, "Oh, you should apply to teach this festival." And I was like, like, okay, like whatever, they're not going to take me. And then they did. And I was like, wait, what? At that festival, the way the pay structure work is you're paid like a commission based on your classes. And I had only like submitted like 2 classes because I was like, I didn't quite understand what was happening. And I was like, well, like, why would I put that much work into submitting more when I'm not going to get accepted anyways, kind of thing. And so then the person running it, she was really great. She helped me like come up with a bunch more classes. So I had enough classes to make it worth me coming to Australia. And then she helped me set up some other teaching dates like around Australia so that I could see some more of Australia. And it was a really great trip.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite part of the process of making a quilt? Like even within long arming, what is your favorite process?
I think it's just the deciding what to do and like the first pass, right? Like when you have the first row done and you can tell like, oh yeah, like this is working, this is going to be great. I'm getting that sort of first row done and being like, oh yeah, like this is going to be good. I like that sort of like validation that I'm not ruining the quilt. And in the whole process, I really like the cutting out, like cutting my pieces and having like nice little stuff. I don't know. I enjoy like the like nice little stack of pieces all cut out and ready to go. But sort of depends on the day. I sort of like everything except for hand stitching binding, which is why I almost never hand stitch binding.
I love the cutting part.
Yeah.
Just love the cutting part. I lose interest as I go along. And by the time I'm putting the top together, I'm like, oh, this is so ugly. You see all the frame fabrics and everything like that. And
Yeah, absolutely.
so let's talk about your books. How many books have you published?
I've done 4 free motion. Yeah, 4 like free motion and long arm books. 3 were self-published, and then 1 was with Lucky Spool.
Are they the ABCs of long arming or the advanced techniques?
Somewhere in the middle. Like the 3 that I did myself are just like different. They just talk about, so there's one about different swirl designs, one about different feather designs, and one about different ruler designs. And then the one with Lucky Spool is about how to sort of combine different designs together. So it talks about a few different, like how to do a few different designs, and then it talks a whole bunch about how to combine them together now in different ways. So that it's more than just, sure you know how to do a swirl, but like how are you going to use this on your quilt now?
Do you have any lectures or workshops that you do?
I mean, yes, I don't have anything currently booked, but I often teach at different guilds and other things like that. I do lots of mostly different free motion quilting, long arm quilting classes. So I do swirls, rulers, feathers, combining things, different texture. I don't know. I teach lots of different things about free motion, just depending on what the group wants.
So if people are wanting to get a hold of you, how do they reach you?
And the best way is to email Kathleen at kathleenquilts.com.
Okay. And if they're looking to buy any of your patterns or your books or find out about any upcoming workshops, where's the best?
All the books are through the store Quilting from the Heart. So the website is qfth.ca. That is where all the books are. And there's a few on-demand classes through there as well. Any live teaching dates I'll usually put on my website, which is kathleenquilts.com, but there's nothing there right now. So don't, expect to see anything. If you want me to come, I can put something on there. Yeah, those are the best places to find my stuff.
And a last question. Are you coming to Quilt Canada this year?
I am. I'll have a booth. So we'll have a Quilting from the Heart booth in the vendor hall.
Excellent. So I'll meet you there. I'm coming.
Yeah, I will be there.
Thank you, Kathleen, for being on the show today. It's been a real pleasure.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I hope that you enjoyed my interview with Kathleen Riggins. I know that I am going straight to download her Sprinkles and Stitches pattern. If you would like to check out either her quilts or her courses, I will leave her website and social media links in the video notes below. Next time you're in your sewing room, be sure to have Karen's Quilt Circle playing in the background. I have interviewed so many amazing people on this podcast. Let one inspire you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.